And welcome back to Coast. I'm George Noory. We'll take your calls in just a second. Stephen Sindoni with us as we talk about Mount Shasta. Stephen, this area, is something going on? Are people disappearing in the hole? What's happening there?
Well, there's a number of things that are happening in Mount Shasta. It depends on who you speak to, who you ask. For example, you've got a lot of UFO phenomena that are happening there around the mountain. You've got stories of beings from inside the mountain inviting people in. You've got a lot of people that are channeling different ascended masters in the area. And then you've got the military presence around the mountain. It has an underground base on the backside of the mountain. So you've got quite a bit of things going on around Shasta.
Is it something that could be dangerous for people?
No, because there's two things, George. There's love and there's fear. As long as you got love in your heart, you're not in fear, then nothing can happen to you. It's those who cross that line and are afraid or in doubt, and then the controllers have the ability to make things difficult. For anybody who's a good person, they have nothing to worry about but fear itself. So if you don't have any fear, then you have nothing to worry about. You walk in the light.
Stephen, the people who rejected the invite from the 7-foot robed person, what might have happened? It's always conjecture, but what might have happened?
I spoke to him last night, and he is under the impression that California is Lemurian continent, and it's the eastern portion of Mu. And from my research and what I've learned and what I've seen while I was up there, I tend to agree with him, as well as the man of the legend, John Benjamin Body, or J.C. Brown, that this is an important link. This race is an important link to ancient American history.
Had they gone into that tunnel, would they have come out?
I think they would have.
Okay.
Well, John Benjamin Body, or J.C. Brown, went in on my border crossings. He went up to that area about 13 times, and he lived up until 1940. And the only problem he had was he had told the men in Stockton in 1934 that on one of his expeditions up to the Cascade Mountain Range, he was kidnapped and just barely got away with his life. And what I came to learn was he was friends with one of the Harrimans. And the Harrimans are one of the wealthiest
political
families
Harrimans
for the last 100 years.
Yeah.
And they did not want the story to get out. So John Benjamin made the mistake of telling the Harrimans, and he put himself in jeopardy as a result of it.
Who kidnapped him or tried to?
The Pinkertons, I believe.
The security company?
Before the CIA, there was the Pinkertons. They were a group of the government that was sent out to squelch different things. I believe it was the Pinkertons that scared him off.
The tunnel, is it natural or is it man-made?
The tunnel is a man-made tunnel in the inside. The outside, it's a rock basalt foundation, but the inside of the tunnel has actually been carved out.
Okay, let's go and take some calls. Let's go to Medford, Oregon. Jim, you're with us on Coast to Coast. Hey, Jim.
Yeah, I'm Shasta Indian myself.
Okay.
I belong to the Shasta Nation here. And I've been up on Mount Shasta several times. I just want to say that it's our tradition that we don't go above the snow line on the mountain. It's our creation.
Well, why not?
Like our Creator created us from up on the mountain and wake us seat.
And what do you think's going on up there, Jim?
It's something that we kind of keep under our hats because it's sacred.
Well, lift up the hat and tell us what's going on. Come on, you called.
Yeah, it's just that in many cases we try to keep people from going into it because it's the creation.
Are you trying to keep them from going into it because it could be dangerous for them, or because it's sacred?
It's sacred.
All right. Go ahead, Steve.
I've been at Northgate on the north part of the mountain where the Shasta Indians have their own. They've got their sacred site there on the Northgate side of the mountain, and it's about I'd say 5,000 feet elevation where that is. Have you ever been there?
I've been through there, yes.
Okay, so you're aware of that. Okay, because that's the highest level that I see remnants of your people in Mount Shasta.
As we talk about the hollow earth, is it hollow ground, basically, hallowed ground? Is it spiritual, Stephen?
Yes, it is. Diane Robbins, who is one of the channelers of Adama from Telos, who was a friend of mine when I was up there. Basically, there is a civilization that lives underneath that mountain in a crystalline type of a city that have been giving her information, and other people as well have information about these Telosians. And through the years, there's been stories of them coming into town with gold nuggets to buy things, and then like next thing, and they were wearing like hippie type garments, and then all of a sudden they mysteriously disappear. But they've been seen throughout the years, so this has been documented evidence of a civilized race on this mountain.
Let's go to Jabari, calling from California, first-time caller. Hello, Jabari.
Hi. It's just an amazing show tonight. Thank you so much. I've been to Mount Shasta. I make pilgrimages there regularly. I was a guy who was raised to only believe what was in the Bible, but I just saw so many things that particular holy book couldn't explain. And George, and I was actually in the jungles of Peru, even though I lived near Mount Shasta. I was in the jungles of Peru when I found out how holy it was. This French woman I met there said, "You've got to go. You've got to drink the water." And I've been, people see UFOs there. They have angelic contacts. Every dream I have there, every night I'm in the area, is a vision. I tell you, it's just a center of love and synchronicity. And it's not just Mount Shasta, George. It's the neighboring mountains as well.
It's that area. You can feel the energy there, can't you?
Well, speaking of the eclectic things that happen there, Hedge Creek Falls, I'm going to throw that out there. There's a waterfalls there, and people come from India, China, all different Buddhist religions come out there to get married underneath this waterfalls. It's one of the oldest waterfalls in the world. And next to it, right next to it, to the left of it, I've taken photos of petroglyphs there that show Lemurian carvings there that are hiding in plain sight right there in Hedge Creek Falls. I've also seen UFOs in Mount Shasta hovering over the city. I remember the date was 9909, and a cloud opened up, a lenticular cloud. I saw a fleet of ships that had left the mountain, and they just traveled east. They beamed a light down at me and my friend to let us know, to make you aware of us, because I had just left the mountain at about 10 o'clock at night and went down into town, hoping I would see something that night because it was 999, all the numerical significance of it. And then to come down into the city and not to let me down, they actually let me see them later that evening. So, yes, there are things happening there, George.
Next up, let's go west of the Rockies. We'll go to Maui in Hawaii. Marty's with us. Hey, Marty, thanks for calling.
Thanks, George. I love your topic tonight. My wife and I, who are still married and living here on Maui now for 30 years, when we went to college, we went up to Humboldt State. We lived right on I bought 5 acres right on a point on the coast where the San Andreas Fault re-enters the land area. It comes in from the ocean. In fact, we lived in Well Gulch, and from the mouth of that gulch, you can see how the thin ridge line was sheared off from the inland portion. It's a perfect match if you just laid it together, how the San Andreas Fault just sheared this massive gorge 2,000 to 3,000 feet deep and 15 miles long. And but we would drive over. To go over to Shasta, we had to go over Paradise Ridge, which is a long ways away. I mean, I don't even know. It's got to be minimum 75 to 80 miles, airline miles, to Mount Shasta, but you could see Mount Shasta from Paradise Ridge right on the coast. And it was so gorgeous. But we would go over there for, like, when we'd have a couple days off from school and drive up as high on the mountain as we could get till we hit snow. It was interesting that your Indian guest said that they wouldn't go past the snow line. Neither did I, and it's a living, breathing mountain. I mean, the thing rumbles. And, Mount Lassen, you can feel the thing and you can hear it. I mean, it's a living entity. And, Mount Lassen, which is adjacent to Mount Shasta blew up not that long ago. I believe it was in the teens of last century, and the devastation from that eruption is still evident clearly to this day. And I think Mount Shasta, it is not a dormant volcano. It is fully active, and you can feel it just by driving up there.
Yeah, you could probably feel little earthquakes, too, I bet.
Oh, yeah, no, I used to spend, I'd have to leave after a couple nights. It was just a very intense place, and I was at that time away from my Christianity and was very much interested in dabbling in...
Would you ever go back there, Marty?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I have friends that live in McLeod, and I drink. The water I drink, and I swear to my wife, and she's done pulled it on me if I could do a blind taste test. I drink only water from Mount Shasta.
Really? At this still?
Yeah, you can buy it in the stores.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, it's in bottled water.
And I drink the bottled water from Mount Shasta. I love it, and I can taste the difference in it. And my wife can't believe it, that I can pass a blind taste test on bottled water.
And how do you feel? Does it have any medicinal healing properties?
Well, yeah, I feel that it refreshes me. But any water when you live on Maui,
yeah,
it's almost 90, and the humidity is almost 90. Water is really refreshing. But I love my Shasta water. I drink it, prefer it wherever I get it. I'll go out of my way to get it. But it is a very special place, and it is the most beautiful mountains, and the colors that it displays from a long distance from what I was saying on Paradise Ridge all the way over on the Humboldt coast. You could look over and pick out Mount Shasta, the very summit of it. And the colors at sunset time around it are just gorgeous. I mean, they're as gorgeous as any tropical sunset, which we have here in abundance.
Oh, yeah, it is. We've got some pictures up there at coasttocoastam.com, and it is quite the sight. Still getting a lot of UFO reports out there, Stephen?
I'm getting quite a few from people, and that's why I'm going out there. People are seeing them. The nice thing about this particular trip, I will be going out with certain people. We will go out and we will research certain things, and we're going to see for ourselves.
Stephen, do come back safely when you go out there, would you?
I will come back safely. I'll have a number of people with me.
Stephen, thanks for being on the program again. We'll be back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM as we talk about 2012 and beyond.